Metro Awakening VR on the PSVR2 is one of the best games I've gotten to play on this next gen VR headset. From developers at Vertigo Games, best known for their Arizona Sunshine titles on PSVR1 and 2, Metro Awakening is by far Vertigo Games' most ambitious title to date, really showcasing what these developers are capable of when having the financial resources available to them. But what is it that makes Metro Awakening so great? That's what this review is going to cover, along with its shortcomings and areas that could be better with some improvements made. So, let's do it.
It's with your own knife that I am sacrificing this land. We are different, Oka, but we want the same.
Damn it. What's up, everyone? Savage Gamer here, and this is my review for Metro Awakenings on the PSVR2 headset, developed by Vertigo Games, coming in at a $40 cost of entry. If you are new to the channel, or to VR as a whole, thank you for tuning in, and I greatly appreciate your help in growing the channel by hitting that subscribe button and giving the video a like. And for all of you who are already subscribed, well, you guys rock. I'm a smaller channel, and it's only as successful as it is because of you. Now, let's get into this review.
Could it be that these tunnels are driving me crazy?
Metro VR, and we're just going to call it Metro VR from here on out, okay? Anyways, Metro VR is set in the same world as the Metro Flat games, all of which I have been a longtime fan of, owning all of the Flat iterations and completing them as well. I strongly feel to truly appreciate this title, you should have some first-hand experience with the original Flat titles, or at the very least with Exodus on the PS5. But for those who are not familiar, I'll do a brief rundown of it. Metro is centered in a post-apocalyptic era within the Russian and Ukraine regions, where in order to survive the remaining citizens have abandoned the comforts of their homes and topside dwellings, and have then relocated into the metro tunnel systems, living in makeshift structures, all working collectively to keep the human race thriving, while also still in conflict with opposing forces as well as mutated beasts as a result of the nuclear fallout.
Just a moment.
You're scared?
What if I am?
We all are, Piotr. Which is why we need you. I'll be waiting for you at the barracks.
Your rations are scarce and should be treated as such, where every bullet that you fire had better be worth it and find its intended target, as you may not find another bullet for quite some time. Sometimes the best approach would be stealth combat, using your knife or sleeper holds to avoid alerting other enemies, as well as conserving your ammunition.
Hello.
Boop, 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 boop. Most of the firearms found are all tattered up and rigged to work, some looking very unconventional, and others being quite impressive, but while still looking as if MacGyver made it in a pinch with nothing more than a fucking pineapple, a comb, and a wooden crutch and a spoon in order to create it. Okay, maybe that's a bit hyperbolic, but you get my point. So now that we've covered a bit of the world building from the books and game series, where does Metro VR stand within it?
It's funny.
They don't even
Boop! Boop!
they don't even care.
Well, right away from the jump, Metro VR had my attention and kept a hold of it throughout my playthrough. Metro completely embraced the previous Underworld designs while managing to put me directly into it with an incredible level of immersion and believability.
They flagged us. The station's a bloodbath. We took the women and children out through the side passages. But they can't hold the south entrance. We got to do something.
Metro VR is also easily the most highly polished title that we've seen yet from Vertigo games, showing they put maximum effort, care, and attention to detail within Metro VR, which doesn't quite surprise me as Deep Silver, the IP owners, kept oversight and worked alongside Vertigo games to ensure top-notch quality as well as conforming to the lore of the Metro series, thankfully limiting any sort of creative freedom, which if done improperly could cause irrefutable damage to the Metro brand as well as Vertigo themselves. And while I do generally appreciate being creative and breaking the norms in VR development, Metro VR is not a title that should be toyed around with, as it's deeply rooted in its world with a huge fan base who I'm sure would not appreciate having their IP changed from what it's established in its roots, unlike what Veilguard did to Dragon Age, for example. So as a Metro fan, you can go into Metro VR knowing what to expect for the most part.
Of the world we think we know. When the entire world gets immersed in the dark, you can't avoid it any longer. You can only embrace it. I'm fine. I just had this strangest feeling of deja vu for a moment.
All the character designs and voice acting are done incredibly well, working in junction to tell a new and unique story arc. As to not spoil that in this review, I'll simply say you are on a journey to locate your wife, who's left the safety of the community, who some people, including yourself, sort of suspect is she went batshit crazy since her son passed away. That premise pretty much is what sets the campaign in motion, and that's all I'm really going to say on that, is I really don't want to spoil it for any of you who still haven't played it yet, but it does tell a pretty good story with some emotional highs and lows.
But you tell me, where is everybody? I don't mean Moscow or Russia. I mean the world. We're down here, pacing all over each other's territory, like metro station is the goddamn Winter Palace or something. Then really listen to what I'm saying. We're here in the Academy Cheska. Hansa leaves us alone. The Reds leave us alone. The Nazis leave us alone. Even the mutants leave us alone mostly.
As for the gunplay, it feels pretty good overall, with being able to manually reload your gun by grabbing a new magazine and discarding the spent one with great sound effects and muzzle flashes, as well as the more realistic approach to ragdoll physics being at play when firing at an enemy. It can be a pretty satisfying experience. However, when dealing with the mutated monsters, it slightly falls apart just a bit, as some enemies don't seem to even react much to when shot with certain weapon types, and can be a bit spongy at times. Also, the enemy variety is pretty limited, with only a few different human enemy types and a handful of mutated animal types. I do wish that there were a bit more variety at play here, but I still had fun with what is here overall. And if you are familiar with Metro, in the VR version, the radiation is still of consequence here, requiring you to wear a gas mask and replenish its filters when they've gone bad, or you risk certain death. I will say that I was incredibly disappointed to find that the pump up steel marble gun from Exodus was not here, as that would have made for a fantastic gun to have in the VR iteration, utilizing the haptics and offering a better silent killing solution over what they did give us, that being a crossbow like bolt gun. But I would have far preferred the pump action steel marble gun for sure. The exploration is also pretty limited, although Metro VR does offer some light elements of exploration, sometimes rewarding you with some ammo or other necessities. And once I even found a silenced pistol, which was really cool, albeit it was towards the end game. I wish I could have discovered that a bit earlier on, then it allows you to obtain it. Metro VR does add some interactive environmental objects to fidget around with or destroy, such as bottles, cans, books, etc. But I had hoped in drinking 10 beers in a row I would have a drunken state animation, but I didn't. And it was a bit baffling that when early games several objects were interactive, but the further I got through it, I noticed a bit less interactivity of those same types of items, with the exceptions of bottles and cans. Part of the fun in VR, as well as helping to sell the immersion, is being able to interact with seemingly pointless environmental objects. But moving on.
You found it?
The sound design was a bit hit or miss with me, with some of the enemy sounds not really nailing realism. For example, some of the growls and scampers of the mutated rat things or the giant mole things would sound like they were right next to me or behind me, but would be in the next room over or completely in front of me. Or footsteps and vocal callouts from enemies, again, would sound nearby, but were much further away than perceived. In VR, small things like the 3D audio working with accuracy is sometimes left unnoticed and underappreciated until it's off a bit. It's usually only then that you realize how important it really is on selling you the realism of the game.
It sounded like Tamir had been waiting a long, long time for that book. Now, focus your mind. on your wife, Carl. And step into the void. Hasn't happened yet.
For all the things Metro VR got so right, I'd say the sound design is where they clearly had some type of struggles. It isn't to a painful degree, but was immersion breaking at times and reminded me, oh yeah, I'm playing a game, which you really don't want to happen when playing a VR game, let alone a AAA big budget IP game like Metro. In conclusion, I will say I loved Metro VR from start to finish, but I do wish there were a new game plus mode that I could jump into. But as of right now, there just isn't one. So look, I really enjoyed this campaign and the revelations discovered along the way. The combat was great, no matter if I went in guns a-blazing or decided to take a lengthier stealth type approach, offering some decent jump scares and anxiety-driven moments, especially when dealing with the more supernatural aspects on offer within Metro VR. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Metro VR an 8.5 out of 10. I also highly recommend that you play this one if you haven't yet. And with the $40 price tag, it's absolutely worth it. And I hope to see more Metro VR games come out way from Vertigo Games. As sure, maybe some mistakes are made here and some design flaws there, but they've shown me as a lifelong fan of this series that they truly understand Metro's setting and lore, that they are capable of achieving the level of quality expected from such an IP like Metro. And I would love to see what they do to improve upon what they've learned and made here in a sequel title of Metro VR. I also hope that they consider publishing a physical title, as I would love to add this one to my personal physical collections library. Anyways, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm curious to see if you agree with my take, or if you feel I missed something relevant to the discussion. Until next time, have fun, stay savage, keep gaming. I'm out, y'all. Peace.